Have you ever felt alone, wondering if you need a big social circle to be truly happy? What if I told you that true happiness doesn't come from the number of friends you have, but from the peace you find within yourself? Stay with me till the end, because this video might change how you look at life. As we grow older, society often tells us that we must have a large group of friends, stay socially active, and keep up with endless gatherings to feel valued. But is that really true? Many people, including myself, have found that joy and fulfillment in old age come from something much deeper. It's not about being surrounded by people all the time. It's about embracing solitude, appreciating the small joys in life, and nurturing only those relationships that truly matter. When I was younger, I used to believe that the more friends I had, the happier I would be. I thought attending social events, keeping up with trends, and always being available for others would give me a sense of belonging. But as I grew older, I started to see things differently. The truth is, life is not about impressing people or keeping up with social expectations. It's about living with peace and purpose. The moments that bring real happiness are often simple: a quiet morning coffee, a peaceful evening walk, or a deep conversation with someone who truly understands you. I want to share with you the lessons I've learned about living joyfully alone and why growing older can be the most freeing experience of your life. One of the biggest lessons I learned in life is that quality is always better than quantity when it comes to relationships. Society often tells us that the more friends we have, the more successful and happy we will be. But over time, I realized that this couldn't be further from the truth. Think about it for a moment. How many people do you truly feel comfortable with? How many friends can you actually count on during difficult times? Many of us spend years trying to maintain friendships that don't add real value to our lives. We keep in touch with people out of habit, attend gatherings just to fit in, and force ourselves to be social even when we don't feel like it. But why? I used to believe that having a big social circle meant I was doing well in life. I went to parties, attended events, and made sure I was always available for social activities. I thought that being surrounded by people would make me feel important. But deep inside, I often felt exhausted. I was giving so much of my time and energy to others, yet I wasn't truly fulfilled. Many of these relationships were surface level, and as I got older, I realized that being constantly surrounded by people didn't necessarily mean I was truly connected to them. Then, something changed. I started paying attention to how I felt after spending time with different people. Some conversations left me feeling happy and uplifted, while others drained my energy. That's when I realized that it's not about how many friends you have. It's about the kind of people you choose to keep in your life. As I stepped into this new mindset, I made a decision. I would only invest my time in relationships that truly mattered. Instead of trying to maintain connections with everyone, I focused on a few meaningful relationships, ones that brought me peace, joy, and genuine support. I looked at the people who had been there for me during my most difficult times. These were the friends who checked in on me when I was struggling, the family members who supported me without judgment, and even the kind strangers whose small gestures of kindness made a difference in my life. These were the connections that truly mattered. I also realized that letting go of unnecessary relationships is not selfish. It's necessary for personal peace. If a relationship feels forced, one-sided, or emotionally draining, then it's okay to step back. Not everyone is meant to stay in our lives forever, and that's completely fine. Some people come into our lives to teach us lessons, and once their role is done, we have to move on. Instead of chasing friendships, I started cherishing the ones that naturally stood the test of time. I focused on having fewer but deeper connections, relationships built on trust, respect, and genuine care. The people who truly matter don't require constant validation. They don't demand that you always show up to events or keep up with every little detail of their lives. They understand you, accept you, and appreciate you for who you are. If you've ever felt pressured to maintain friendships just because you've known someone for a long time, or because society tells you that being social is important, let me remind you of this. It's okay to walk away from relationships that don't bring you peace. It's okay to have only a few close friends. And it's okay to prioritize yourself over trying to please everyone else. When you shift your focus from quantity to quality, something amazing happens. You start feeling lighter. You no longer feel drained by meaningless interactions. Instead, you feel a sense of peace, knowing that the people in your life truly care about you. And if you feel like you don't have many close relationships right now, don't worry. As you begin to embrace solitude and self-love, the right people will naturally find their way into your life. Meaningful connections aren't about how many people surround you, but about the depth of the relationships you nurture. So, take a moment and think about the people in your life. Who uplifts you? Who drains you? Who genuinely cares about your well-being? Once you identify those who truly matter, invest in them. Let go of the rest. And remember, it's not about how many friends you have. It's about how loved and valued you feel in the relationships you choose to keep. Many people believe that being alone means being lonely, but that's not true. In fact, solitude can be one of the most beautiful experiences if you learn to embrace it. For most of my life, I thought happiness came from being around others. I believed that in order to feel valued, I needed to be part of a group, constantly socializing and keeping up with friendships. But as I grew older, I realized something profound. The most peaceful moments in life often happen when you are alone. At first, the idea of solitude was unsettling. Like many people, I feared being alone because I associated it with isolation. But as time passed, I started seeing things differently. Solitude is not loneliness. It is freedom. It is the space where you can truly be yourself, without pressure, without expectations, and without distractions. In solitude, I found something I had never experienced before: inner peace. I no longer felt the need to constantly prove my worth to others. I didn't have to force conversations or attend gatherings just to feel like I belonged. Instead, I began to enjoy my own company. I started to appreciate the little things in life: waking up in the morning and enjoying my coffee in silence, taking long walks and listening to the sounds of nature, sitting by the window and watching the sunset, reading books that help me grow as a person, and writing down my thoughts, memories, and lessons I've learned. These small moments, which once seemed ordinary, became the highlights of my day. I discovered that I didn't need external validation to feel fulfilled. Everything I was looking for, happiness, peace, and purpose, was already within me. Many people fear growing old alone because they don't understand the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is when you feel disconnected from others, even in a crowded room. It is a sense of emptiness that comes from seeking validation outside of yourself. Solitude, on the other hand, is a state of contentment. It is choosing to be alone, not because you have to, but because you enjoy your own presence. When you embrace solitude, you no longer feel the need to constantly seek approval or fill your time with meaningless interactions. I have met people who are always surrounded by others, but still feel lonely inside. And I have met people who spend most of their time alone, yet they radiate peace and joy. The difference is in how they view their time alone. If the thought of being alone scares you, ask yourself this: why do I fear my own company? For many of us, we've spent so much time focusing on others, pleasing them, impressing them, keeping up with them, that we've forgotten how to simply be with ourselves. But when you start enjoying your own presence, life changes in ways you never expected. You become more confident. You stop relying on others for happiness. You gain a clearer understanding of what truly matters to you. When you shift your mindset, you start to see solitude as a gift rather than a burden. You no longer feel pressured to engage in conversations that don't interest you, attend events you don't enjoy, or maintain relationships that no longer serve you. There are simple ways to start embracing solitude. Spend time in nature. Go for a walk, sit in a park, or just step outside and breathe in the fresh air. Nature has a way of making us feel connected to something greater than ourselves. Try journaling. Write down your thoughts, emotions, and reflections. You'll be surprised at how much clarity you gain about yourself. Develop a hobby: painting, gardening, playing an instrument. Find something that brings you joy and do it just for yourself. Practice mindfulness. Learn to be present in the moment. Whether it's drinking tea, listening to music, or simply sitting in silence, take the time to appreciate the now. Celebrate small joys. Start noticing the beauty in everyday moments. A warm cup of tea, a beautiful sunset, or the sound of birds chirping. All of these things make life meaningful. Once you start appreciating these simple pleasures, you'll realize that solitude isn't something to be feared. It's something to be celebrated. For most of my life, I believed happiness was something I had to chase. But solitude taught me that happiness is not found in the outside world. It's found within. When you embrace solitude, you no longer feel pressured to fit into societal expectations. You don't need to attend every event or be constantly surrounded by people to feel complete. You are enough, just as you are. If you've been afraid of growing old alone, I want to encourage you to see it differently. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means you have the freedom to live life on your own terms. It means spending time doing what you love, reflecting on your experiences, and finding joy in the simple moments. So instead of fearing solitude, embrace it. Learn to love your own company. And remember, true happiness comes not from the number of people around you, but from the peace you feel within yourself. As we age, one of the most important things we can do is let go of society's expectations. For years, we are told that we need to have a large social circle, be constantly busy, keep proving our worth to others. But in reality, true fulfillment comes from within. Your worth is not determined by how many friends you have or how often you socialize. It is determined by the experiences you've had, the wisdom you've gained, and the love you've shared. Instead of chasing validation, focus on creating a life that brings you peace. Instead of worrying about how others perceive you, focus on how you feel about yourself. Instead of regretting the past, focus on making the most of the present. Aging is not a decline. It's a new beginning. It's the time when you finally get to live on your own terms, free from unnecessary pressures. So, I encourage you, embrace this stage of life. Let go of the need to please others. Find happiness in the simple things. Surround yourself with love, whether it's from a small group of people or simply from within yourself. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you experienced the joy of living alone? How has your perspective on friendships and solitude changed over the years? Let's continue this conversation in the comments below. And remember, happiness isn't found in numbers. It's found in the depth of your connection with yourself and those who truly matter. Watch till the end and reflect on how you can find joy in your own journey.